welcome to the first ever Northern Ireland Virtual Forum, brought to you in conjunction with Jet2holidays. As you can imagine, we would have preferred at this point to have our live events taking place, but health and safety is our first priority, so we're just going to have to wait to maybe August until the big travel trade event takes place when we can all get together. We were approached, of course, to facilitate this for the travel industry in Northern Ireland. There's been an awful lot of subjects that have come up, a lot of areas that need to be covered to give confidence moving forward. And this is why we have this Kickstart the Recovery forum taking place over the next 5 days. There'll be lots of great panelists coming on board, which I'll talk about later, and lots of different subjects and questions that have been put forward to us to ask them over the next week. Of course, we are happy to facilitate this, but we couldn't make this happen without incredible sponsorship. And that has been very generously given to us by Jet2holidays. So here's a little message from our sponsor, Mr. Alan Cross.
Well, good morning, everyone, and a big welcome from Jet2holidays. Now, we're always looking for ways to support the independent travel agent, and I can't think of any better than to be involved in the Northern Ireland Travel News Virtual Travel Forum. Now, it's been a tough year for everyone, travel agents, suppliers, consortia, cruise companies, you name it, but now's the time to come out fighting. So over the coming week, you'll hear discussion and ideas of ways to kickstart customer confidence in Northern Ireland. So from all the trade team at Jet2holidays, I hope you enjoy and learn something to help your business bounce back and rediscover the travel industry we all love. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. That's absolutely brilliant. And we really appreciate all your support, not just to us at Northern Ireland Travel News, but to all of the travel trade in Northern Ireland and their customers. It's been a very difficult 14 months, and I think you've done an incredible job and stepped up to the mark. I'm now going to give you a bit of an overview of what's going to take place in the next 5 days. Day one, today we kick off with our Booking with Confidence Kickstart the Recovery session. We have assembled a great panel to get us started with Alan Cross, UK Head of Trade Sales, Jet2holidays, Danny Wayne, who is Head of Membership from ABDA, Gary Lewis, CEO from the Travel Network Group, and Peter McMinn, Managing Director of Travel Solutions. Day two, on Tuesday, we have our Finance and Security session with Rachel Jordan, ABDA Director of Financial Protection, Ian Hall, ABDA Head of Insurance, and John DeVale, ABDA Director of Membership. And joining them will be Michael Budge, Head of Operations, Aviation and Travel, Finance and Licensing with the CAA. Day three, Wednesday, we'll see the whole session devoted to the new exciting Association of Northern Ireland Travel Agents with Damien Murphy, Interim Chair of ANITA, Joanne Dewey, President of the Scottish Passenger Agents Association, Brenda Morgan, MBE, Chair of the Northern Ireland Tourism Alliance, and Luke Petherbridge, ABDA Director of Public Affairs. Day four on Thursday, we are delighted to bring together the industry leaders so we can hear the message from the top. With one-on-ones with Mark Tanzer, ABDA CEO, Julia Loboui Said, CEO of the Advantage Group, and Steve Heapy, CEO of Jet2.com and Jet2holidays. We finish off the week with our day five, the next steps to recovery session with Danny Wayne, ABDA Head of Membership, Peter Shanks, Silver Sea Managing Director, UK and Ireland, Middle East and Africa, Aisling McLaughlin, Iberostar Business Development Director, UK and Ireland, and of course, Alan Cross, UK Head of Trade Sales, Jet2holidays. I think we have assembled an impressive group who can help us in the Kickstart to Recovery. So welcome to day one of our Kickstart to Recovery Forum in association with Jet2holidays. Today's session is all about booking with confidence and the Kickstart to Recovery. Good morning and welcome to our first panel on our Kickstart to Recovery Forum in association with Jet2holidays. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to our panel. We have Mr. Alan Cross, UK Trade Sales, Jet2holidays. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Jonathan.
With Danny Wayne, ABDA Head of Membership. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Jonathan.
And Gary Lewis, who is the CEO of the Travel Network Group. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Jonathan. Morning.
And Peter McMinn, Managing Director of Travel Solutions in Belfast. Hi, Peter.
Yes, morning.
It's great to have you all here, and thank you for taking the time to help the Northern Ireland travel trade on their Kickstart to recovery. So let's get on with it. Our first question, why and when will consumer confidence return? And we'll start with you, Alan.
Well, I think that the pent-up demand is certainly there, but the confidence, it's been a stop-start approach for the past year. And that's what we need, is clarity and confidence that we know what we're trying to work to with that. So the Global Task Force report last week there, it opened up as many questions as it answered. And yes, certainly some of the basics are there to get moving again, but unfortunately, I don't think it goes far enough. So to get the customer confidence back, we need clarity of a start date, a clarity about the traffic light system, a clarity about testing and pricing and everything else that goes with it. So I think there's still a bit of work to be done, but when the confidence comes back, the demand is there, the customers are searching and looking. We can see that with web analytics that we run at the moment for both trade and the direct side of the booking. So people want to travel and they want to go in summer 21. We just need to get together and get our act together and get clarification from the English, Scottish, Northern Irish and Welsh governments to make it happen.
Very good. Gary, have you something to add to
that? Yeah, I think consumer confidence will ultimately come when the consumers believe and trust what's about to happen. So we saw the boom last year when Spain opened up, and then government turned it off within 24 hours or even sooner. Alan will know better than me. But that trust in the government making a decision around green, amber and red, and if the country being green, if it can get turned off immediately, that's really going to slow customer confidence down. So the framework that's been put out, I think, is a starting point. We don't believe we'll hear from the government till closer till the 17th of May with more details about which countries go green. But yeah, confidence will only happen when consumers start to believe travel's going to happen. So demand will come back as soon as they believe travel will happen. So if we have certainty, for example, that travel will happen for 10 countries from the 1st of September, we'll see demand soar. But until you get to that level of certainty, that's a worry. The other impact of confidence will also be the price of some of the barriers. So testing, the price of testing has to come down. I know it's already started to come down to around £60, should be down at £30. I know everybody's now lobbying on that issue, but yeah, the cost confidence will return if that reduces, but ultimately they just need certainty, and demand will boom immediately as soon as they have certainty.
Yeah, very good. And your thoughts, Danny?
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm optimistic. I think the confidence will return. And from what we've seen already across the rest of the UK as we've started to reopen now, I think firstly with people in Wales that have been able to go on day trips, and the outdoor dining that has already opened up in England over the last week. And of course, everyone going to the hairdressers, which is a far more intimate experience than sitting on an aircraft, and everyone's desperate to do it. So I think that bodes well for the travel industry. But yeah, as the guys have said, there are still lots of challenges to get through. And from an agent's perspective, I think the great thing is that they're used to solving problems and navigating these tricky situations. So this is where they can add value and enable that confidence and get people traveling again as well.
Very good. Peter, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think there's no one thing that will bring confidence back to our customer. There's little things that also have to fit into place. Communication is a big thing. The message coming out from government has to be, and in fact, I would extend that to government and to our trade operators, be it the associations, be it Danny's association or Gary's association and others, to make sure that the message coming out to the consumer is the same. You know, we've seen what happens when ministers, be it in Westminster or Stormont here locally, go off on their own sort of tangent, and we see the dip in confidence as a result of that. I think the big thing I'd like to see, we need a common travel policy. You know, at the minute, you know, you guys, Gary and Danny and Alan have touched on this 17th of May and the traffic light system. We don't have it here. We're still uncertain as to what our own local executive are going to do. So Nicola Sturgeon touched on it last week. I think we need a common travel policy which relates to all. I'm going to say 5 nations because we have our own 4 home nations, UK nations. But I think on a regional basis, we also need some sort of common ground with the Republic of Ireland, which is unique to this part of the world. We need to see confidence that we can travel out through the south as well.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Question 2. When this confidence returns and people are, confident in booking and traveling themselves, what do you think agents can do to be ready for this? What policies and what things can they do to be ready for that confidence coming back? Danny, we'll start with you with this one, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, they need to have a positive mindset because it's been such a difficult time for everyone. And, we've all had personal and professional challenges. So to try and shake that off and to get back into doing what we do best in travel, which is about making dreams come true at the end of the day. And that's what it's all about. So I think that's where to start. And then operationally, you need to be conscious that people are still concerned about COVID, and that will start to go away and people will become more relaxed as there's more vaccinations rolled out. But continuing to think about things like social distancing in your branches, potentially welcoming people with masks when they come in, and being thoughtful to other people, like they might not be comfortable shaking hands, those kind of things really practically. Absolutely.
Peter, anything to add to that?
I think agents need to, agents and operators, Turbine as well, need to go out and speak to their customers if they haven't already been doing that over the last year. We need to remind people that we're open for business and we're ready to take their business, and that can be in a number of ways. Social media has been a big platform for, I think, us all over the last year, and we need to make sure agents are proactive on it, are looking at how they can increase their presence, how they can improve their presence to make sure that benefit we've had over the last year isn't lost as we move forward.
Absolutely. And Gary, yourself?
I think that both points Danny and Peter make are obvious and really good and valid points. I think the real crux depends on the type of travel agent or tour organizer operator, where they are in their journey. So across the Travel Network Group, within our World Choice membership or within our Travel Trust Association membership, and now with the Global Travel Group, we've got over 1,200 travel businesses that are outbound, and they're all hugely challenged in different ways. So the larger business in scale and the debt that they've had to incur at this particular point in time, they've had to focus their core sources in being able to market and take those sales in a different way. But small independent travel agents, they're controlling their cost base by having people on furlough. So to be able to take advantage of the market coming back, they need to take people back off furlough and incur those costs. That's a huge challenge for lots of businesses, not knowing where their next piece of cash comes from. And it goes into the arguments around specific sector support. We're the only industry to have to refund all our money. We all know that stuff. But individual travel agents are having to make those really tough decisions where the owners of those businesses are having to hold it and do it themselves while they've got their teams on furlough. So they're dealing with the cancellations, they're dealing with the refunds, and even we've got another raft of cancellations coming through till end of June for lots of travel tour operators for all the right reasons. Brings a whole load more work into those travel agencies. They can't take advantage of those opportunities to go out and sell and market because they're just overwhelmed, and also they've had a year and a month of this crisis, and then their energy levels are flat bottom. So those conversations we're having with members, we're really feeling that real pain and worry, and it is a real worry about where the next penny is going to come from to get themselves through this, because we know we all don't earn any money until customers start to travel again.
Yeah, I think the sector support is really an important point, most definitely. Alan, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, I've got a couple of points, but I think one of the most important is the travel agents need to go out and sell why the customer should be booking through a travel agent. I mean, we've seen it all the way through the pandemic, the share of trade mix with Jet2holidays. I mean, if I look at this year alone, it's running at 49% for Belfast. Now that's 1 in every 2 bookings is getting booked through a travel agent. If I look at summer 22, it's 61% are booking through a travel agent. So get out there and tell customers about the professionalism, the knowledge, the experience, and you can have a safer experience booking through a travel agent. So I think primarily they have to do that. I think the other thing they need to do is look at the selling trends. What they're opening the doors to is not what it was a year ago or 6 months ago. And they need to look at the Monday is the new Saturday. Why do most travel agents choose not to open on a Wednesday? Oh, it's because we're not busy. It's because you're not busy because your doors are closed. You need to make themselves more accessible. And particularly retail agents need to look at the timing during the day. We do about 20 to 25% of trade bookings after 5 o'clock at night, because that is the trend where the customer now wants to book. It's not at 12 o'clock necessarily during the day through the travel agent. So they have to do that. And the last point I would add is social media. Social media is going to be more important coming out of this than ever before. Reason for that is a retail window is going to be probably 50% as effective as it was. Not because it doesn't get a good message out there, it's because there's probably 50% less people walking up and down your high street. So use social media to target new and existing customers. We've just launched our hashtag BoostMySocial, which trains agents how to use their Facebook and their website and other forms of social media better. Everybody thinks they're an expert. Well, I've got news for you. We've done a hell of a lot of work in the past couple of months to roll this out, and you know, we learn. So we're taking what we've learned and teaching the agents to do it better.
Very good. Very good. Some really great points there. We'll go on to question 3 now. We'll start with you, Gary, this time. It's what do you think travel agents have learned in the last year, and what positives can they take from that?
Well, they've learned a huge amount. They've been through a journey of crisis, and then through crisis becomes innovation and how far you can deal with the stresses yourself and your teams and all those things. But let's just go through the list. Initially, the fear of having no money coming in, then understanding how the cancellation policies work, the refund processes work, which tour operators stood up and supported them through that process, the issues and details around a refund credit note. We've learned the word furlough, because nobody understood that before, and how that applies to controlling costs. I suppose our members know better than ever before how their cash is, their cash position, and what they need to do to survive as a business going forward. They've understood the issues around chargebacks and the complications of an agent taking the chargeback risk, and the impact of not being able to pass on the credit card charge fee to the consumer, and that impact on how that processes back to the customer. They've learned travel insurance policies don't work for any level of protection. In the early days, trying to push some of this disruption and force majeure back. They've learned the understanding about FCDO advice and tour operators and ATOL regulations and all those other implications. Whereas before, we've all gone along in an industry believing the worst things that happened was an ash cloud crisis and a Thomas Cook failure. And all of a sudden, we've gone to another level of extreme. So there's so much knowledge that's been learned and so many different questions they're asking, and understanding how sustainable their future is. And whilst travel agents specifically take far less risk than any other part of the chain of the market, they've also learned that they take risk because they've had to give their commissions back to their customers through the cancellation process on a scale that none of us have ever comprehended before. So I think they should take a huge amount of positives from that knowledge, that learning, the fact that it's still surviving and standing, but also they should take a huge amount of understanding that through this crisis, there's a huge level of pent-up demand ready to go on holiday, and their businesses are long-term sustainable. And through this process, government have understood that they've had to support us with the furloughs, with the grants, with the CBIL loans and all those other things. And I think the arguments as an industry being made to them demonstrate the impact of our economy of travel. You know, how much money is spent before people go on holiday, what the overall impact of the economy, and the travel agents and tour guides and operators are essential to the high profile airlines and the high profile airports that the government focus on. We're a huge part of that ecosystem, incredibly important, and there is a sustainable future for us all.
Absolutely. I think, the feedback that we've been given, like the demand for travel agents has never been higher. So there is the positives of that moving forward. Alan, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's a simple one, and that is travel agents, learn your lesson and deal with those operators that have handled things best in the past year. It's not when things go right, it's not when things are selling cheap, it's when things go wrong that, the suppliers and operators that you should be supporting going forward, because that will ultimately make your life easy, because this isn't going to leave us for years to come. It will return in hopefully shorter bus, be managed separately, but you should deal with people that can sell a package holiday you can trust.
Absolutely, and I think you guys have come out of that very well. And another company as well who's done that, of course, is Peter and Travel Solutions. Peter, have you anything to add to that as far as travel agents are concerned?
Yeah, I would certainly echo what Alan has said, and you know, Gary's comments were very comprehensive about the whole issues right through the whole process. And in all fairness, you know, do agents want to know about package travel regulations and ATOL regulations and things like that? You know, would it not be better if they're focusing on selling and hoping that the industry manages that whole process without them having to worry about what's going to hit them that day or the following day? Communication, I think, is the big thing. You know, hopefully agents have picked up that, you know, the communication between customer, between agent, between operator has helped them get through this whole sort of maze of refunds and credit notes and cancellations and rebooks and things like that there. And hopefully they take that on board, and as we move out of this, and we will move out of it, that they understand that that's an important thing. It has to continue. You know, will they support those agents, those operators who have been good to them over the last year by making sure communication was there and refunds are quick? I hope so, but you know, time will tell.
As I say, I've used this term in a few interviews over the last few days. You know, communication builds trust, and that's the most important thing to do. Danny, is there anything you'd like to add to that? I mean, on behalf of
yeah, I would just like to really compliment those technical skills with, I think, some of the soft skills that people have learned about themselves, things like resilience and how resilient they've been in times of adversity. We all thought we were resilient, but I think now we know it. Emotional intelligence, I think the skills that agents possess have always been underestimated, and particularly in this area, it's one thing understanding customer needs, but being able to support them through difficult circumstances is a completely different level. The fact that they've survived this far is a great achievement, and those people will be stronger for it going forward. Having the thick skin, you know, dealing with customers that are unhappy with refunds, amendments, constantly changing rules, all that sort of stuff, I think is a pat on the back. And probably the final thing would be a better awareness of like mental health as well, that we've all sort of experienced through this. So going forward, being to support one another better. And yeah, I think that's something that when we get back to some sort of normality, it's not to forget that, and picking up the phone and just saying to people, how you doing? And people have really valued that over the last 12 months.
Absolutely, very good. We'll now go on to question 4. This is our final question. This one, we'll start with you, Peter. It has been suggested that a closer working partnership between all sectors of the industry is needed going forward. How do you see this working?
Well, I think we're very lucky that we already have a close relationship in this region between agents themselves and between agents and operators. So I suppose, you know, hopefully I'd like to see that continue. And I see no reason why it will not continue. You know, there has been talk about changes to consumer protection, changes to booking conditions, things like that. And I know later in the week, Jonathan, you have a session with ABDA and the CAA, and perhaps that will be discussed during those sessions. But you know, that's a risk issue that needs to be, you know, if we're going to really look at risk, we need to look at it across all aspects of the industry, be it from agent to operator to airline and cruise. And I think it's something that we'll not manage. I think it's just continuing the relationship we have already with them, and going back to the comment, making sure lines of communication are open, making sure that we can help, as a tour operator, we can help our retail agents as best we can. We can't do it every time because some of the demands we get are just not possible because of restraint. But if we can create a situation where we can help agents when we can, then that's a good thing.
Very good. Gary, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, certainly. I think there's a number of different areas, but the first thing is the voice as an industry. How we gone through this crisis. Well, I think going through this crisis was obvious. There was so many people shouting about so many things at the start of this crisis. There was a disparate voice. There wasn't a clear understanding of what was going on, what needed to happen, and what has happened, and what has happened through this crisis as the industry has come together to give clear, data-driven information to help the government make decisions about our industry. And ABTA should be very proud of what they've done in some of that through the Safe Future Travel Coalition that we sit on that with them. The CA have been involved in some of the conversations and arguments to government. The ability to get access to Whitehall, or the different government departments, and making sure that those messages have come across. And that has then aligned with what the airlines have been saying and what the airports have been saying and what the cruise industry has been saying. So there's been different forums happening at different times. What I've been really proud of in the last 6 months of this crisis is the industry has stopped shouting. They've come together in these different forums and they've produced evidence-backed data to government and continually been consistent in the arguments they've made. Even this week, we've moved incredibly quickly from £250 a test to £60 a test to talking about £30 a test. And that voice has come from the airlines, different leaders of the tour operators, from ABTA and the Safe Future Travel Forum. So I think we have come together from that. There's also the other area around regulation and the underpinning of that regulation. So ABTA licenses, ATOL licenses, APC, bond insurance market, the supplier failure cover market, that whole integrated system, the merchant acquirers and supporting that. We know travel businesses have had huge challenges getting through ABTA renewals, through ATOL renewals. There's a trust account structure, and through the Travel Network Group, we cover all of those areas with both an ABTA membership, a trust account model, ATOL holders. So all of those areas, there's some real challenges around the how we deal with that going forward, and the level of debt currently in the industry that's sat to try and get through this, and how we navigate that next 6 months. The industry needs to come together and talk around that future as well. So I think there's a lot to be proud of, to where we started, to where we come through. And different organisations removing their ego and getting on with it, and understanding that for us to survive, we need government to fundamentally understand our issues to be able to make the right decisions.
Well, it's a good starting point, and hopefully that will continue in the future. Danny, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think within the trade, we're probably the most critical about not speaking with one voice. And actually, we do, believe it or not, do it better than other industries. And certainly what Gary was saying there about coming together and through the Safe Future Travel Coalition, I think that's really good kind of way to keep that momentum going in the future. And that started as letters to MPs originally, just around about a year ago now. And then since June, it turned into more of a pan industry alliance, and there's 15 different organisations working together across that. And I think that work needs to continue. And as Gary said, speaking with one voice has definitely come from that. And then from a kind of ABTA perspective and sort of the more bread and butter work that we do, it would be speaking with the different airline and aviation trade bodies. So whether it's IATA, Airlines UK, Airport Operators Association, and so on, and working with them within the Future of Aviation group. So kind of bringing them on board and making it more effective when we're lobbying government as well, by working together within all of the different parts of the industry. So really just having a louder voice for the organised travel sector. And yeah, the work that we've done so far, it's really important now that we kick on and keep going with that going forward.
Very good. And finally, Alan, yourself? Yeah,
I agree with everything the guys have said, but I think obviously using all the platforms out there to communicate is key as well. I mean, I look at everybody on screen here, and you've got bodies such as ABTA out there, the SPAA, the new Northern Ireland equivalent of the SPA that's getting built at the moment. Fantastic delays with these guys. You look at the consortia out there, and there's TTNG, and certainly we have one of the best working relationships with TTNG than any consortia, because over the past couple of years, we've worked bloody hard to communicate and work together to get what's best for the travel agent. There's yourself there in the media, Jonathan, Northern Ireland Travel News. You know, you do the social events, but you do the business events, and you're very good at mixing the two. And here you've got something here where everybody's pulling ideas together, communicate and talking, and take it forward. And there's even old Peter on screen there. Him and I, over the past year, have lifted the phone to each other just to pick each other's brains on occasions. So again, using every platform out there to pull everything that everybody said together is a good thing. And we can't forget that. And I think if there's one good thing that's come out of the pandemic is there's more platforms and there's more views that you've heard of other people. And you suddenly think, actually, it's not just us in this. Whether it's somebody with a very small business or somebody with a very large business, it's the very same problems that we're all incurring. And we all need to work together to get out of that.
Yeah, certainly. Sorry. Certainly, this crisis, if nothing else, has hit everyone, absolutely everyone. Nobody has escaped it in any shape or form. There have been casualties, unfortunately, and there has been lessons learned from it. But everybody knows once they get out the other end of the things that were positive that come out, the communication, working together right across the whole of the UK and the Republic of Ireland. So I mean, it's been positive from that point of view. So yeah, hopefully we can make that continue on in the future. That was basically our last question. Is there anything else any of you would like to add, just generally, on any other subject? Or are you happy enough with what we've covered today? Gary?
I think Danny alluded to it in a couple of things he mentioned, which is the mental health and where people are and recognizing emotional intelligence, all that stuff. But as people that run companies, as people that work within companies, every single person we always think is some type of leader. They're either leading a business or they're leading a team or they're leading themselves. But the impact this has had on the mental health and the emotional welfare of so many, whether they're on furlough or not on furlough or at risk of redundancy, there's been a huge fear gone through the whole economy and specifically travel, and we're going to come out later. So just a call out on that it's a troubling time for everybody and anybody, and stay strong, stay resilient. That there's a sustainable business there. And there is support from all angles now to go and get that support to get through the next steps of this.
That's terrific. Well said. Alan, yourself?
Yeah, I've enjoyed the forum so far. I look forward to the next 4 days and hearing everybody's input and what's happening in Northern Ireland and views and how the hell we're going to get out of this. Brilliant. Go for it.
Absolutely. Peter, yourself?
I just, we need to leave on a positive note. Things will get better. We've gone through a horrendous year, and please, it can't get any worse. It has to get better. So that's the way to look at it. Things have moved. Who would have guessed a year ago we've been vaccinated against this awful disease, and things are starting to open up. Maybe not as quick as we'd like it, but things are moving in the right direction. And I think let's finish today on that positive note.
Very good. And Danny, finally?
Yeah, I think just following on from the positivity, there's now in Northern Ireland, you're vaccinating the over 40s, which is, I think, ahead of the rest of the UK, which is a great place to be. So long may that continue, and let's get back to selling holidays.
As you say, the over 40s, Peter and I just got in there and no more. So that's terrific. But
I had to show my driving license.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, can I just thank all of you for taking the time out to be as positive as you have been today, moving forward for the Northern Ireland travel trade. Thanks to Alan, to Peter, to Gary and Danny, and hope we all meet up very, very soon live in Northern Ireland, and we can all have a beer together. So thanks very much indeed. Cheers.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
I would now like to introduce you to Tony Mann from Idle Travel from Bradford in Yorkshire for today's view from the agents. From an unusual start in travel, operating from a shop next door to his in-laws and studying travel and tourism with a tutor at night, Tony is a well-known advocate of the independent travel agent whose opinions are respected across the UK. Over the next few days, we will have a brief insight from the travel agent and their view of the past year and the road ahead. Hello, Tony. It's great to have you here joining us on our first ever Road to Recovery travel forum. You keeping well yourself?
Yeah, keeping very well, Jonathan. Thank you. And thanks for asking. That's kind of you. Thank you. But yeah, keeping well. Still here.
Good stuff. That's it. I was saying it's great to see you again. I'd prefer that we were actually back in Miami, maybe in the One, having lunch and going out for a few nights on the town. But there you go. We're just going to have to wait for that to come in the future. You're first in our sessions of the view from the agent, and really appreciate you giving your views to our Northern Ireland members over here. First question basically is, of course, you've been able to open up last week with the restrictions being lifted on non-essential retail. How's it been for you?
Yeah, it's been good. I think that actually for, every time we've come out of a lockdown, we've reopened and wanted to reopen, just to tell people we're in a shopping mall, we're next to a Morrison's supermarket. On one side, I've got a 24-hour gym, and at the other side, I've got Subway sandwiches. Obviously, I spend my time more in Subway sandwiches than I do in the gym. Well, I don't go in the gym, I just pass it and I get a sweat on as I do. So obviously we've got footfall there, but it's been a pretty decent week. We've done bookings. Actually, we've it's not been queuing out the door, but people have been in. We've had some really nice bookings. We've done a Bali yesterday. We've done Med because we sell lots of Med, as I'm sure people may know. We do lots of Jet2holidays, being near to Leeds Bradford Airport as well. So that's been consistent throughout this year as well. And we've done a few coaches and things like that. But we've had quite a lot of people inquiring about the UK cruises. So obviously that'll be like the M62 around the UK. That'll be different, but people have asked. We had a 40-night cruise, a Caribbean and USA cruise. People have been asking. So it's been quite a good mix, and we've been happy to open. The team that's been in and out have been wanting and desperate to get back with trepidation. It's the lockdown does that, but I wanted to open. I want to show that we're here, we're open, we've survived. I think that's really important. So anytime I can put my lights on and show that we're here, we do that. We've got to show. People will easily soon forget. People will easily give rumours. We've had rumours over the years anyway, so already closing, no nonsense. So, I just think we've got to be here, and, we're open, we're here to do bookings, we're here to give advice, and obviously we're here to look after the customers that we already have as well.
I think one of the things that I take from that is it's actually nice to see people coming back into the branch again. You always have that fear of, will they come back in, or will they want to just make the phone calls? But, that face-to-face confidence, that contact, I think gives the the customer an actual, a bit of confidence moving forward and being able to talk through their holiday. I mean, that's part of the holiday experience and the booking, and being able to talk to an expert like yourselves makes all the difference. But so that was great to hear that, and that bookings. You were saying the bookings were coming in. So most of it maybe 2022, or is there stuff for 2021 itself?
No, 2021. I'd say probably our biggest seller is 2021, but that's because we've marketed that. I'm not afraid of selling 21 holidays. The majority obviously of them have been for us the Med. And as I said, we sell lots of Jet2holidays, but knowing what operator we're dealing with, what they're going to do, the way that they work, and if they have to cancel refunds is important, and somebody like that, we know that, so that's quite clear. We're very clear with his customers. Even now, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen really, with the traffic lights, etc. So, but we tell people that, and then so it's up to them to make that judgment and say, look, this is what may happen. You may have to have tests, etc. And for them to decide what to do. So we're very honest, because it's pointless, but we do that as a company anyway. As a good independent agent, we're honest with his customers. That's what we've done for 36 years. We've give good advice, and then it's down to them. So, we've done, even last year, we got a fair amount of people away. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Has it been one of the hardest years in 36 years? Absolutely. We've survived Intersun ILG collapsing, we've survived ash clouds, we've survived the 9/11 traumas, we've survived Thomas Cook's, we've survived the death of the high street. We're still here, and actually the last 8 years we've grown. We adapt and change. I think as independent agents we adapt and change, but obviously this has been the hardest to deal with, but we adapt and change. And we took it as a family, as a point of view is, it was like starting a brand new business. Let's look at it in a way. We're going to have to obviously invest some more. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's start as a brand new business and think that actually if I could have been as a brand new business to the customers I've already got, to the reputation we've already got 36 years ago, I'd have been skipping. So I've got to try and look at positives. I try not to look back too much, only on the good times though. But, you know, I've got to look forward, and I've got to, I mean, it's hard, don't get me wrong. You know, have I wept at home? Absolutely I have. You know, it's been difficult, but still look forward. Look where there's opportunities. You know, I try to punch above my weight. That's how I look at it always. You know, we are a small independent agency, and we punch above his weight. We've been lucky. You know, I've got a great team. We're in a great position. We've got some great suppliers that we work with. And yeah, that's how I've got to look at it. Otherwise, I'll probably just collapse in a heap at home otherwise.
Absolutely. I think the main thing that came out of it there is the communication with the customer on a regular basis builds the trust going forward, and making them aware of what the restrictions and the potential restrictions that could be going forward, and being able to change or adjust the holiday as those requirements have. Would make it happen.
And also to dissuade them from booking as well. If we feel it's not right, we're happy. I remember one of the girls once years ago came from a large company, shall we say, and I said, you will sell differently here. It's not always about the sale. I'd rather lose a sale than sell something wrong. It's not about pressure selling, you know, and I do believe that. You know, I want to be treated. I want my customers to be treated how I want to be treated. It's as simple as that. You know, it's service, isn't it? And as you know, and we're lucky that I think that it's turning full circle. I think being a travel agent, once we're through this mess, and we're nearly there, I think we're nearly there, we're going to be as most valuable ever. You know, we've had so much good publicity, and you know, go book with a human travel agent, etc. Wow, we can't get any better. We just need to be ready. And I know it obviously is difficult, but we need to be ready, because once it starts, I think it'll be like getting on a bus, ding ding, old tight please, here we go. So you know, we need to survive it, and we need to be there. But I do believe that we're not far off.
Yeah, exactly what you were saying there. It's been fantastic. The change in some of the attitudes, you know, and the PR that's been out there between Mr. Simon Calder, of course, who's been a great supporter now, rather than at the start, and of course Eamon Holmes, our own Eamon Holmes, has been absolutely terrific. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. The next question basically is, we've managed to make it this far, as you say. There's been a lot of ups and downs. What's the biggest thing you have taken from this? And if you had a message for your fellow industry members going forward, what would that be?
Do you know, I think the biggest thing I'm going to take out for it is I do really love my job. Actually, I'm getting quite emotional, but I do. I've been really lucky, you know, to fall into this. And I think for everybody out there, you know, who work in the travel industry, who run agencies, I fell into this, you know, by sheer luck. You know, I used to be a DJ of all things, and an empty shop came up next door, and my mother and father-in-law said, get a proper job, and decided to open a travel agency with no experience. And how lucky am I when I look back on the people I've met, you know, from in the industry, from my customers, the experience I've done. What a great industry. Is it hard? Yeah, it's I'm never going to be a millionaire, absolutely not, but I don't want to be, because actually it's brought me all sorts. And it's not just about, I mean, the most important thing just to remember is you are a travel agent and you're selling holidays, but the things that you learn from, you know, being in travel and running travel agencies and marketing or whatever it is, it's actually quite a fulfilled job. 37 years ago, I used to be known as Tony Mann. I'm not known as that anymore. Wherever I go, where obviously in the industry, I'm called, oh, this is Tony from Idle Travel. But actually, when I go out and about, people say, do you know that's Tony from Idle Travel? I've lost, my identity's changed. I need to change my passport. So the one thing I take is I've been really lucky. Yeah, it's been really difficult this year, obviously for everybody, and it really, really has. But I do love it. It makes me thrive. It makes me want to get up in the morning. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't love it every day. You know, some days I totally hate it. But really, deep down, I do love that. So I think that, you know, we've all survived this far, which is a credit to everybody, because look what we've had to go through with nothing really, you know, with nothing. But we're quite a strong species, us travel agents, us independents. You know, we like to, we get up and go, we get on with it, and, you know, and we're still here. So what I would say is that there's good news around the corner, and actually I think we're going to be in a far better place. I think business will boom. I think it will be busier than it, you know, it has been in a long, long time, if not forever. You know, we're lucky. Our last 8 years have rocketed, and we've beaten every year. And I believe that, you know, we get through it, and we'll do really, really well. We'll be back to doing what we love to do, and that's just sell holidays.
Absolutely. You know, a few travel agents that I've spoken to, although going through a really hard time at the present time, you know, their pre-bookings for 2022, you know, if they were in a normal year and they were sitting in April or whatever it is and thinking, right, my goodness, look what we've got booked for next year, they would be absolutely delighted. I know it doesn't make up for what has happened over the last 14 months, but you have to look ahead to the good times, as you say. So yeah, positive messages all around. So thank you very much. Final question basically is, so where is your first holiday you're going to go on when this all finishes?
Well, the things I've got booked so far is we've got a booking to Disneyland Paris in August with the family and my daughters and my grandchildren. So that'll be exciting. I've got a holiday booked to Greece with my friends. So that'll be a boozy do. But actually, if I can go before, I just want to go on a short flight, on a short transfer, because I want to get checked in, get a beer and sit on front with that sun shining. It's as simple as that. So it'll be somewhere short or very quick. And so I can plonk myself down and think, wow, thank God, we're back to normal.
Absolutely. You sound like me. I actually told exactly the same story yesterday when somebody asked me, what do you want to do? I says, short flight, overlooking a beach somewhere with a glass of wine and some garlic prawns would do me lovely. That'll be fine. Yeah. Thanks very much indeed. Listen, I just wanted to thank you again for taking the time to come on and be part of our Kickstart the Recovery Forum. It's much appreciated. I know you know a lot of our guys over here, and they'll be delighted to see you. And hopefully we'll be able to catch up soon in better times. But thanks again. Cheers.
Yeah, no problem. I can't wait to see you all again for that drink with everybody. So yeah, look after yourselves, everybody.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to remind you of tomorrow's Kickstart to Recovery Forum in association with Jet2holidays. The Finance and Security session with Rachel Jordan, ABDA Director of Financial Protection, Ian Hall, ABDA Head of Insurance, John DeVille, ABDA Director of Membership, and Michael Budge, Head of Operations, Aviation and Travel, Finance and Licensing with the CAA. I look forward to seeing you then, and thanks for joining us today. See you soon.